Good evening. The Ranter is back to go into yet another rambling diatribe of the news of the day. And we are going to jump around on a few little subjects. We're going to try to make it relatively short upon each topic. Just give you my ranting, rambling, incoherence as opposed on these particular topics and sending it out into the void. But let's start with contempt. Today, the House Republicans voted, or the whole House voted, but the House Republicans won the vote in order to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt. In a vote down party lines 216 to 207, the Congress has indeed voted to hold Merrick Garland in contempt. What does this mean? Not much. This is mostly symbolic because when you congressionally hold somebody in contempt, then they can recommend to the Department of Justice to go put an investigation upon that person as to what led them to that contempt, and etc. However, the fact that the person that they're holding in contempt is Attorney General Merrick Garland, and Merrick Garland is the Attorney General, head of the Department of Justice, that will go nowhere, other than it being symbolic. They're doing something. The Republicans are doing something. They are holding him in contempt. While many of the members of the Republicans in that House, on those committees, like Jim Jordan, who have not, in over 700 plus days, responded to his own subpoena concerning January 6th, as well as of the Republicans. But be that as it may, let's not bring reality into this. This is all for performance. Yeah. So, and what are they holding him in contempt for, pray tell? What was the horrible thing, that devious, corrupted thing that he did that made him so contemptible that they voted to hold him in contempt? I will tell you. They're doing that because Merrick Garland refuses to release the audio video of the Joe Biden deposition that he had with Robert Hur during Hur's investigation of Joe Biden over his classified documents. Now, in many videos, I've differentiated the different concepts, the different situations between Joe Biden and the documents that he had, and Donald Trump and the documents that he had. And let's rehash this just a little bit. Just a little tic-tac bit of the differences between Trump and Biden in terms of the documents. Whereas Trump was asked multiple times to return the documents that the National Archives found missing, and Trump and his lawyers lied about it, pulled it off as long as they could over a period of months and months and months until they finally had a search warrant to search Mar-a-Lago for them themselves to find it. Joe Biden and his people found the classified documents, informed the National Archives that they found these documents, and they immediately returned them back. Now, you will hear the political semantics from the left and the right concerning this, and the right obviously has, very dramatic about it, and how this is the two-tier justice system, and why isn't this the same as Trump and this and that. I just dictated as to why they were different, and those different situations is not something you can really argue your way around. So yeah, and Robert Hur, despite his editorializing of Joe Biden's cognitive disability, or however he termed to choose to describe it as one of the reasons why he was not seeking out a prosecution of Joe Biden for him holding on documents, for tantamount saying, well, he's just a codgety old man and he just has memory problems, and it wasn't really done, intentionally and maliciously. He just forgot. Just old people do that. Old people. Old people. Yeah. But anyway, But the thing is why this is laughable. For this is such a horrible necessity that they must simply have this video and audio documentation of the interviews, because they have the transcripts, the full transcripts of the interactions between Robert Hur and Joe Biden. They know everything that was said. So it's not as if there is something that is being intentionally withheld or missing, or there's a discrepancy. What they're doing this for is that they want the audio and or video of these depositions so that they can make use of it politically. So they can cast the wide spotlight on any time Joe Biden might have to search for a word to think of, or maybe he coughed, or maybe he hesitated in answering for a second, or any of the myriad of things, any of the myriad physical tics that Joe Biden could do that they can point to and say that he's not there, he's non-compos mentis, he is not there, we need a 25th Amendment him, just blah 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 blah, all this stuff, to just say that he's just not in his own head, that he's a doddering old man, he's sundowning, and this and that. Now, I've already come on my videos as saying that I have suspected that he had some cognitive decline, is a part of his age. But I don't say that in a malicious way. I'm not saying that as a form of insult. There's no political gain for me to say that as a form of a negative. It's just part of the reality of the situation of being an 80-year-old man in a high stress position as President of the United States. And, whatever you think of what his gaffes are in the past, from recent past to way back in the past, or whatever there is a physical tic, or if he seems that he's thinking of words or whatever, that is natural for the time being. And I still say that despite the decline, when he is on, he has his moments of the lucidity. And it's very sad to have the argument of, well, sometimes he's lucid this way, this time he's lucid that way. I have little to no doubt that majority of the time when he's actually getting down to business, he's actually getting down to business. Now, I have somebody that I was debating with, where I was talking about him going to the World War II memorial in France. I was talking to a D-Day veteran, and he visited a cemetery, and the guy who expressed himself to be a Christian claims not to be insulting Joe Biden, but from his clinical diagnosis of not being a doctor, being nowhere near Joe Biden, he just made the assumption, well, that Joe Biden didn't know where he was. He didn't know where he was. He's wandering around. He has no idea where he is, why he's there. What are those Tic Tacs in the ground? Yeah, this guy said that. For someone who spouses to be Christian. So, when the Republicans in the House, who really wants this video footage and this audio so they can show off the gaps in the testimony of if he's not on the ball and sharp and answering every question in a matter of seconds, or visuals if he's drifting or shifting or this or that, they want to do that. They want to have that so they can make shit out of it, so that they can alter it, so that they can edit it and splice it in ways to make it look 10 times worse than it actually is. Now, this is not me being conspiratorial about this, that this is an assumption I'm pulling right out of the air. No, this is coming from them actually doing that in recent history. While he went to the World War II memorial in France, some right-wing agents decided to take the footage of him slowly sitting down and edit it to looking like he didn't know what he was doing, that he needed help sitting down, when in reality the actual footage is that he didn't need help sitting down, he just sat down slowly. And actually respectfully, because another person was speaking, or was about to speak, and he was sitting down slowly. But they spliced it to make it look like He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know where he was going. Well, where am I supposed to go? So can you imagine these very same people, because their politicians took that shit and ran with it. Right-wing media took that shit and ran with it. So can you imagine them forcing this video and audio footage of his deposition so they are combing through it so they can find anything to make him look and feel bad, to show that he's not quite on the ball, and then blast it out in neon to make it to overexpose it, so for the political points of he is sundowning and he's not full mentally, emotionally capable anymore, non-compos mentis, he's too old for this, which is also funny given Trump, who is not that far apart from Biden. But we don't ever want to talk about like his gaffes, his misfires in the synapses, because we're talking about Joe Biden over here. You know, how dare you talk about Trump? Trump is nowhere near like bad about Biden. Okay. So that is why they're holding Merrick Garland in contempt, that he just refuses to let out the video, because in reality, he doesn't need to. The full transcript is there for all the words that was saying. Remember when they tried to make hay out of them saying that he didn't remember his son's birthday? Or when he died? And then the transcript, and they read it out in front of Robert Hur, who suggested that he didn't know it. They read it out to him, and in the words, you can imagine the emotion of bringing up, oh God, he died then. You're bringing up the death of his son, and he has an emotional response. But you can feel in the transcript. This is also the funny part about. I'm guessing that these people do not think that their audience can get things. That's why they need audio and visual, because I guess some of us who are savants or somehow can actually see the emotion poured on the page and can imagine it probably accurately as what was going on. But these people apparently do not have the same faith in their supporters, in the people that they want to be enraged into being mobs for them against Joe Biden and whomever else. So, as far as the contempt, yay! What a great victory you got. Yeah, whatever. That's not gonna probably go anywhere, and if it did, all it is just more political hay, more political posturing, because you're doing nothing else. And an example of doing nothing else, doing nothing of note or of substance, and contrast to somebody that is doing something else, whose influence helped things in a particular matter. That doddering old man, that sundowning Joe Biden, that codger that you're all making fun of for his age and stuttering and all the other bullshit nonsense that you fucking children do. Remember the bridge that got smashed by that cargo freighter in Baltimore Harbor? Bridge went down. Very devastating to the locals in Baltimore. Major bridge. Well, they said that such a major crash would take a long time for them not only to clean up, but them to fix and to correct. I mean, there'd be the logistics of, moving traffic in a different location, detouring people around, and that would be their new normal for a long while. Joe Biden pledged to put his support in the reconstruction and recovery of that harbor travel for Baltimore. As of today, only 11 weeks later, Baltimore Harbor is reopened. The governor of Maryland and the mayor of Maryland thanked Joe Biden for his proactive service in pushing the necessary logistics, money, material, workers, put the focus on it to get it done. And he did get it done. As he got done as being the only president in recent memory that got anything of infrastructure through the House, through the Senate, and signed into law. What would Donald Trump do? I mean, we had 4 years to Donald Trump. So we should have an idea. Donald Trump would talk a big game, maybe throw out some big game tweets, probably have an infrastructure week once or twice, to try to distract from something else that was going on at the time with him. But beyond that, nothing would get done. See, that's the difference between somebody who works, doddering old Joe Biden, who actually worked, and young and spry, 76, 77, 78-year-old, not that far from fucking Joe Biden, Donald Trump, who all he did is talk. All he did, and his minions, and his gerbils, all they do is talk. And be performative. To be the dancing bears for the entertainment of those who want to own the libs. That's it. There is an example of one side that knows how to govern, that knows how to do the work, that actually goes to Washington and gets elected to do work, and the other side that wants to play. Because politics is a game, too. See, politics is work, and politics is a game. The game is being able to be famous and going on the news shows and then doing grandstanding and getting sound bites and having all the attention drawn onto you. Hey, isn't that nice? And the people who work, less of the time goes on to the shows, not trying to make a name out of themselves, and actually doing the fucking work to actually help improve things in this country. Because one of the things I've always considered as part of my theory in terms of our national politic is we identify the problem. We're going to run on this problem. We're going to do donor money for this problem. We're going to do rallies about this problem. We're going to be the crusader against the scourge that is this problem. So that we can get elected and that we can solve that problem. Unfortunately, we don't really want to do anything to actually stop that problem because we have an election coming up in another 2 years that we want to run on this very same problem. That seems to be the case here in a lot of instances, in a lot of issues through our politics, that people will talk the game, and both sides will do this. So I'm not letting the Democrats off the hook when they do that shit too, because there's a lot of things that could have been done midterm between the election years, that time in between, before we thought that we really need to talk about shit, months before we have an election. No. We have at least 2 years for House, 4 years for Senate and President. That, if there's things that could be done, like, say, voter registration, that could be done instead of it becoming an every election cycle issue upon, they're not letting us vote over here, they're not letting us vote over here, they're destroying Democratic precincts over here, the district is over there, they're redistricting, they're gerrymandering, this and all this stuff. If anyone in politics was really that serious about it, we would be dealing with that like before there was a next election. But we don't. Because, again, same thing as it was with abortion, which was a great cash cow until they finally were successful enough to kill Roe v. Wade. Then you lose if you don't have your little wedge issues to argue about into the next election, how are you going to get support? Which reminds me of the whole bipartisan deal that was scuttled because Donald Trump wanted it to be an issue to talk about. Which now, if he does talk about it at any point during his campaign, we know that he screwed the bipartisan deal, that he made the Republicans kill it. The deal that a Republican, Lampford, wrote. That it had a lot of things that a lot of Democrats probably wouldn't like, but it was something to be done. Anything. But again, it's a reminder that having an argument, having an issue, having a problem is more important than solving the problem. So we can't possibly be talking about, fentanyl crossing the border like it was a raging river with illegals if people were working to solve that problem. I mean, what about all the National Guard that went down to Texas to defend Texas against the talking about civil war against the feds because they put up, razor wire that legitimately killed people crossing the river. Men, women, and children. Good Christian people down there. But be that as it may, if you get rid of the problem, if you resolve a problem, then all that money that goes to that problem, all the stuff that made you such a barn burner that people were liking your rhetoric, and because you get close to that line of being ridiculous and being fucking bigoted, but you don't cross it, not really. Well, all that would be gone. And then what would you have to argue with? Let's get passionate over the tax law. It's not as sexy as, say, abortion or the border or this or that, right? But my politics is kind of screwed up that way, and I'm going off on a rant on that because I'm not really getting into that point of view of it. It's just, it is an example, as I said, of there is a definite visual that Republicans, especially the loud ones, the ones that are not really getting down to business, but those who will pretend that they're working by not wearing a coat, like Jim Jordan, or James Comer, who's trying to keep limping along his 15 minutes of fame, still going on to Fox News, even when Fox News is getting tired of Comer's shit, is this, all right, where's the criminal referrals? Where's the subpoenas? Where is this? Where is that? And he's just shining them on and leading them on. Says, oh, you're going to see them at some point. They're going to see them at some point. You just wait. You just wait. How long? I mean, Malkowitz, who Democratic congressman, brought it up expertly. Because he himself, in the middle of all these hearings, would go, well, if you want to vote for, you want us to do an impeachment? Hey, let's do an impeachment. I move that we do a vote on impeachment. You second it. No? No one? No one? What? Huh? Okay. No, he made it clear because there is a time limit. You have June, July, and September. I think that was the timetable that they have left in the Congress before they don't do anything legislatively during this election cycle. So, once again, showing that the whole impeachment thing is more performative grandstanding that they're just wasting money on. But there you go. But moving away from the content salutation and moving away from what I was ranting about beforehand, or about a minute ago, let's move on to the verdict. Not the verdict of Donald Trump. Oh, no, we already dealt with that and him crying like a little bitch about it. And all his little minions on Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, Christian Meagle, and all the Republican sycophantic politicians that want to, kiss his ring, depending on where that ring is. Might be on the mushroom, I don't know. But we'll discussing the verdict of Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden was charged with 3 counts, both 2 of falsifying records and owning and purchasing a gun illegally. Reason why he was illegal at the time of purchasing it is that in 2018 he was rapidly addicted to drugs and was a drug addicted person, and that's not exactly something you should be buying when you're a drug addicted person, and that usual background checks and various other checks would probably go, no, you're not getting a drug. You're not getting a gun. Get the drugs you want, apparently. So the jury got all this evidence, took only 3 hours for deliberate, said he was guilty. Said he was guilty on all counts. The counts for the 2 falsifying records, the falsifying testimony and her records concerning his purchasing and the background checks, that comes to 10 years apiece max. The gun possession is 5 years. So Hunter Biden at maximum would be seeing 25 years in prison. Federal crime. Joe Biden has made it clear multiple times, and he made it clear after the verdict, that he will not pardon his son. That he will not abuse the power of the presidency of the United States to force leniency in pardoning his son. He did not exert his influence in the Department of Justice. He did not try to prevent the prosecution, did not try to prevent the investigation. Things went down, and he was indicted, he put on trial, jury deliberated, found him guilty. And out of the left wing of our country, the liberals, the pundit Democrats, and so forth, were they crying tears of blood? No. Majority were not. I'm sure some are, but there is also a kind of an irony that is also in some of these responses, which I'll get to in a moment. No one said that the trial was rigged. No one said that the results was compelled or forced. There's no suggestion of misconduct of the judge or the prosecutor. It is pointed out that the judge is a Trump appointee. It is pointed out that the prosecutor is a Republican prosecutor. Nonetheless, despite these facts, that when you flip it on its end, and this is a judge whose daughter has worked with Democrats, or the DA has something that has political lines of and is a servant of the evil boogeyman George Soros. Oh, then we'd be hearing tears of blood and rigged and bullshit. But here, with a Republican DA and a Trump-appointed judge, no one, as far as I've heard so far, is saying that the trial was rigged. Because it wasn't. No one's saying that the jury was influenced one way or another. They weren't. They saw the evidence before them, and they determined beyond a reasonable doubt that Hunter Biden was guilty. The funny part is, we, in terms of us who are left-leaning and or Democratic and or progressive and or liberal, however you want to put it, we who, by our majority, accepts the results, determined it was fair, says that Hunter Biden can absolutely, within his right to appeal, and if the appeal goes through, good for him. If not, justice is still served. You know who's having the shit fit over this verdict of him being guilty? Right-wing Republican MAGA personalities, especially on the news, especially in politics, who they themselves call it rigged. That the verdict was rigged, that the sentencing will probably be rigged. That this was all just a smokescreen to protect Joe Biden over something that no one has yet proven a damn thing about. That somehow this is all distraction. Hunter Biden is a distraction against Joe Biden for something that Joe Biden did that no one has any proof of, that no one really knows what he did, but he must have done something because Trump. That's there's a great expression. There was a great I think it was a meme or something, but it's like when someone asks for an explanation for something that has no explanation, and someone just goes cheese, and go, why cheese is because saying cheese is about as good as any other thing I could come up for an explanation that has no explanation. So Trump, cheese, there you go. People saying that because Hunter Biden's family was there in the courthouse, that they were trying to influence the jury with their presence. The TV judge, Jeannie Perio, who is a TV judge, as far as I'm concerned, said that the Delawareans were brave to vote guilty. They were not going to be bullied by the Bidens. A week earlier, this whole American legal system was a travesty and we're living in a banana republic because of Trump's verdict. But Biden's verdict, oh well. These good, solid citizens. No. You'll hear that all this was a distraction, and Biden will definitely pardon his son, and all this is just a sideshow to distract you for what Joe Biden is really doing in the background. Oh, really? What is that? We don't know, but we know he's doing something. People could point to me and say I have Trump derangement syndrome. I've done over 100 videos. My first video done years ago, was on Donald Trump and the myriad of instances of him making racist actions or comments or activities going back to the late 70s, from the real estate bullshit that he did with his father to prevent certain people of certain skin pigmentations from getting in apartments in their buildings. Something that the Nixon administration was investigating them about, of all people. When the Nixon administration thinks you're doing some bullshit, that says something. Be that as it may. But people think that I have this, and whatever, I may. But I am nowhere near as melodramatic about Trump as people who are so melodramatically defending Trump goes out to be so out of their minds to go after Biden. I made this point multiple times in multiple videos. Biden is not my first, second, or third, or fourth choice to be president. And given his activities for both on the border, which I think that he was trying to do something, but the Republicans didn't want him to do anything because, election. But what he's been doing in still supporting Israel still makes me kind of hesitant to put his name on the dotted line the next time I go in to vote. And I don't know even if the threat of Donald Trump being president again, is going to be the thing that tilts the scale on that just yet. I got months. Maybe he'll do something, or maybe Trump will do something, more egregious somehow. I mean, we just recently found out in unsealed documents of Jeffrey Epstein that in the unsealed documents, Donald Trump's name is found a lot in those pages. In fact, they identified him as one of the mysterious John Does, unindicted co-conspirator type, John Does, where they don't know him by name, but he's represented in these various other things, including an instance where Jeffrey Epstein was taking one of the little tortured, abused little preteen, early teen girls, and says, "Oh well, let's just go over to Trump's casino. Well, we'll get a room there." So even if Trump did in that instance didn't do anything with that particular girl, he aided and abetted and gave shelter to a pedophile to bringing his toy to his casino, to his hotel and casino. Yeah, but the way that people will lose their mind to the point of no longer being decent human beings in order to show their fealty to Trump by trashing Joe Biden. There's plenty of legitimate reasons to trash Joe Biden. The years that people can go back to and determine how on racial issues, Joe Biden is not exactly can be standing there right next to, say, Martin Luther King. I will pick Bernie Sanders every day and twice on Sunday to be standing next to Martin Luther King. Joe Biden, on the other hand, I think if they ever did, there would be a lot of fake smiles and awkwardness. But outside of legitimate reasons, these fake bullshit reasons that they don't really define, they just know that this is a crime family. We don't have any evidence, but we don't need evidence because we just want to talk about it, which is another Trump ploy. Remember during the Zelensky bullshit, where he wanted Trump wanted Zelensky just say you're investigating Hunter Biden. Just say you're investigated. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. You just have to say it. You say it often and people will believe it, because Trump is a savant on the concepts of perception. A quote from Hitler is, "You tell a lie enough and loudly, and people will eventually believe it, because you're saying it so often, how could it possibly be not true?" Now, in this election coming up, Trump has a healthy chance of winning back the White House. Despite everything that he has done between losing the election, denying losing the election, using all his influence to try to prevent that, the events of January 6th, trying to push fake electors, all the stuff, I'm not going to go down the laundry list. Still, nonetheless, and the conviction and the various other illegal matters, nonetheless, he still has a healthy chance of winning the White House back. Joe Biden also has a healthy chance and possibility of retaining the White House in this contest. People make this interesting point about whether Joe Biden would step out of the race because of his age or whatever, and and people are vehemently opposed to that and not wanting that to happen. I made this point a few months ago. The best chance Donald Trump has in regaining the White House is Joe Biden being in the White House. The best chance that Joe Biden has to retain the White House is for Donald Trump to be voting against him, to be running against him, rather. They are both wounded, blood in the water for each other. That they're still evenly stacked. What could you possibly do with how Donald Trump has acted and reacted since losing the election, that you can still be only even with him? What did you have to do? How bad did you have to do as a president to still be even with this guy? I honestly don't know, because a lot of the perceptional things that we've been throwing out, that we've been hearing about, that the inflation is his fault, border is his fault, anything else under the sun is his fault. It reminds me of how people treated Obama. I have a meme of the dinosaurs with the asteroid, the meteor coming down to create the extinction level event, and the caption reads, "Damn it, Obama!" Because all this is media perception too, so I don't know what the reality is. We will not know the reality until election day upon where things really lie. But I don't understand if Biden is not doing that bad, or is not as horrible as people are making him out to be, which I'm willing to believe. Why is he still even with someone who aided and abetted a riot to push and break into the Capitol on January 6th? Why is he even with someone who whined and complained and cried and pouted and temper tantrum like a fucking child? It's not fair. It is rigged. It's all rigged. How can people be venerating somebody, thinking that he's so strong, and he's so strong on the economy and this and that, and he's going to make things better, and he's there, while we're seeing track record under Biden in recent of this year of how job numbers are through the roof. The stock market is full the roof. When Trump's verdict came out, people claimed that the stock market was going to go down when Trump would be found guilty, that it would just be the verdict would just kill it. The stock market boomed. The Dow Jones went up, for those who are even wonks in terms of the stock market, the Dow Jones went up to 15,000. Never happened before. Under Biden. Now, am I going to give him credit for it? No, because I personally never really took stock in a president of the United States, and this individual person having the influence over the economy, or this or that. People take credit. We'll give them credit when something happens, unless they're a different party, then they're going to ignore it. But if things go wrong, then the other side is going to, oh, he personally brought it down. No. I would not say that about Donald Trump. I will not say that about Joe Biden. But at the very least, once we go back to the perception of the matter, if you're just solidly just thinking about the perception, then you have to determine, even Fox News has to begrudgingly admit, of every success that has happened month after month after month in our economy with Joe Biden. That the whole inflation thing that was coming out to destroy us all is lessening. They made up bullshit about gas prices with a straight face, and people debunked it. People actually went out and did videos where they're just driving around their city in various states. Various people are doing this, showing pictures of gas prices that were at least $5 less than what they were saying it was. Now, could gas prices be high in certain places? Yes, but that is certain places as opposed to the entire country. But they were painting it like the entire country. And as a reminder, going back to the contempt thing, as is with these lying about gas prices, they would splice an edited video when they did that to Biden at the World War II, that they would do that if they got a hold of the audio and video to make him look like more of a doddering old man whose mind is gone and he can't remember, how to tie his shoelaces or whatever the fuck. Just for them to post it out, says, look at that. These are not serious fucking people. And, I will say the same thing if you can find it. I will not deny that the Democrats, liberals, or whatever would probably do the same thing to Donald Trump. The problem is that you don't really need to edit Donald Trump. You just let the camera roll and you'll see. Without editing, without splicing, without skipping a beat of where Trump's mind goes. The recent interviews that Donald Trump has had on Fox News was heavily edited, and some of them they cut away from him in mid sentence because of all the nonsense that he was spewing out ever since the verdict. As people go, and you may claim Trump derangement syndrome on my part, that goes both ways. Trump derangement syndrome goes both ways, because if I'm deranged against him, people are well fucking deranged for him. To the point of just denying reality. We see nothing. We hear nothing. It is all fake. Someone brought up in a debate with me the difference between Biden supporters and Trump supporters, how Biden supporters are more cultish than Trump supporters. I don't know how that is remotely humanly possible, but this guy fucking said it. And he brought up 1984, and he's like, you really shouldn't be bringing up 1984. No, you shouldn't. He goes, why? Why? Isn't that just because Trump did that? There, you can find articles about people comparing various things that Trump has said and done to the concepts brought up in 1984. Do not believe your lying eyes. Do not believe the news. They're all fake news. It's all fake, except for what I tell you. Trump paraphrased that. People go out of their way to defend him. People have lost marriages over him. Kellyanne Conway, her husband's George Conway, is a harsh critic of his. Their daughter is not too fond of Trump either. In fact, her daughter blames Trump over the rapidly disillusioning of the marriage between Kellyanne and George. It is one of the sad state of affairs how we allowed ourselves, and it's not just Trump, because Trump is a symptom, but we've allowed ourselves over the years, be it a few years or a decade or more than a decade, we allowed ourselves to live in our partisanship. To take our political ideology, our personal political policies and beliefs that we think, and we made it tribal. That we made it us versus them. When we all are supposed to be us. We're all supposed to be Americans in the United States. As I said before in different videos, we are a different people. We are bound together in our constitutional democratic republic, representative democracy in our republic. But we are all not the same people. And I'm not even talking about skin pigmentations or racial demographics or gender identity, etc., etc., etc. I'm talking about the life experiences of people living in Texas is different from the life experiences of those living in Florida, of those living in Virginia, or those living in Maine, or California, or New York, or the Dakotas. We all have different priorities. We all have different life, as I said, life experience, different things that we believe in, different things that we think is right or wrong. Some people want to live together and learn about each other culturally, or in any other manner who comes to the big cities for the opportunities. Some would rather live alone on the Ponta Rosa, thinking that they just fool themselves completely with their liberty and don't want to be bothered, and no one crossed their lawn because they got a gun. Speaking of guns, I find the argument, because I heard it recently, that the people who are so hell-bent against, felons ever getting to vote, or, just once someone is convicted and they go into jail and they goes away, that's the end of their lives. Even if they're released, they're a thrown away part of our society, and we should not, consider them anymore. People are complaining that Donald Trump lost his ability to own a gun because he is now a convicted felon. Donald Trump, with in no sense of this being an entitlement, might add, that he and his lawyer had a Zoom call with his probationary officer, because Lord knows how many people who have convicted of a crime, who are about to go to prison or waiting for sentencing, gets the enjoys the option of just, we don't need to go in there. Let's just Zoom. I'm sure there's plenty of people who was given that option. Anyway, during his probationary interview with his probationary officer, admitted that he still has a gun in Mar-a-Lago. When he was when he was starting up the trial, he went and bought a gun in the Carolinas. Though its spokesman says, that was just a stunt. He didn't really buy one. Well, now the probationary officer in New York is now referring to the Florida and calling for his immediate arrest for violating the little issue that Hunter Biden just got himself convicted for. The illegal purchase of a handgun. Not on drugs, but the possession of it while being a felon. But no, not God King Trump. No, that's a travesty. That's rigged election. That's a banana republic. Blah 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 blah. So, point is, Trump derangement syndrome goes both ways. I'm sure a majority of these people who follow in their swords, socially, self-respect, all that other stuff, that defends Trump to the end, are intelligent people who know that this is bullshit, but it's just they can't get out of it. The Pandora's box was opened from 2016 on up, where people think that they could win by this, that they have to keep the fan base happy, so you never, ever contradict Donald Trump. Larry Hogan, the former Republican governor of Maryland, who's running for Senate as a Republican, that if the Republicans want to win the Senate, they should want Republicans to win Senate seats. Well, Larry Hogan is finding himself being abandoned by the RNC, especially by the new RNC co-chair, Laura Trump, who said, because he said that we should respect the verdict of the Trump trial, that he's a disgrace. He shouldn't have said that. And no one should respect him at all. And when pressed upon if they're going to support his campaign, we're not going to talk about that. What's a good chance of them being not pragmatic enough that in order to appease father-in-law Trump, in her case, that they would scuttle his campaign and cede that Senate seat to the continual Democrat in Maryland, dropping out one seat that they could have won, because Larry Hogan actually is a pretty decent guy. And as far as Republicans go, he'd probably be the one Republican I would have voted for president, if he so chose to run. But in my meandering point, to reiterate, Donald Trump will only be able to win with Joe Biden as the president on the opposite side. And I believe Joe Biden can only win with Donald Trump on the other side. If someone else rose and took Donald Trump's place, no matter who it was, Joe Biden would be in trouble. I would not think that he was even or in a favorable position against them. I would think that Republican would be the one that would be in the driver's seat in the election. That was not Donald Trump. If Joe Biden somehow wasn't able to continue as president of the United States and had to drop out of the election, and another Democrat rose, Donald Trump would most definitely be in trouble, because Donald Trump would not have that target. He had to come up with all this new material for this one Democrat, and the Democrat, whoever it is, would garner more attention to them because of Trump's bantering, that people would take notice and see that this person, male, female, would be a decent human being, more decent than Trump, and that Trump would have no chance. I would not think that Trump would have a favorable outcome against another Democrat. They sickly need each other for their own success. This is a sad state of affairs as we come to this in our politics. I wish this was the last one where we have these type of choices. Republicans, you had, what, a half dozen people that you could have chose? Admittedly, most of them were sycophants of Trump, that were surrogates for Trump on the debate stage, that did not want to say boo about Trump because they all wanted to be in the short list for Trump's VPs. But still, new blood, for some of them. Possibility of someone else rising to the occasion, that you do not have to destroy your self-respect or your perceptual intelligence or your compassion or any of that other bullshit that you would have to sacrifice in order to serve the black hole that is the politics surrounding Donald Trump. Same token. If it was a robust group of Democrats that Democrats could have been voting for, they were. Dean Phillips was out there. Marianne Williams was out there. But, hell, Joe Biden won in a primary that he wasn't really in by people writing in. I'm going to land the plane here because I'm nearly talking for an hour. But one of the last things I'm going to remind you is that for those people who keep talking about the crowd size and how this is great and wonderful, how Trump is, Biden can't bring people in the way Trump is, and look at all that crowd, when you only see one angle of it. I have to remind you people that in 2020, including myself, the reason why Joe Biden won was not because people were voting for Joe Biden. Joe Biden won because a vast majority of Americans voted against Donald Trump. And no matter what faculties or deficiencies that you think Joe Biden has in his effectiveness as president, what conspiracy theories or perceptions that you might have about either his cognitive decline or what connections he might have had with Ukraine or China or wherever, that he might be a liability because of his son, does not detract from the same reasons why people voted against Trump. And they're still going to vote against Trump. The verdict doesn't affect my voting against Trump. People who are voting for Trump anyway, that doesn't bother them either. They'll vote for him regardless. It's always funny when you hear about, if people are so locked into their positions that there's always those few people in the middle that don't know any better. At this point, do they not know any better? The near cultish behavior, not even near, total cultish behavior towards Trump, and the lukewarm visuals of Biden. There is those vast majority who don't speak, and they don't need to speak, but the vast majority of people who, they just want this fucking country to run properly. They want to stop with this political bullshit. This grandstanding, just get the job done. Why can't you get the job done? They've look how ineffectual the Congress is, ineffectual the Senate is. Bills that just don't get passed. I mean, you got the one thing in terms of what was going on with the Supreme Court, where they had the leaked audio. The woman who pretended to be a conservative was asking these questions and she was baiting them. And Judge Alito and his wife really screwed the pooch for the Supreme Court. While Justice Roberts, I'll give him credit, said the right answers. What you should be saying as a justice is that it's not about personality or bullshit or politics. It's about the case at hand that you're supposed to be looking at. Oh, no. Alito, who was talking about his Christian nationalism, and his wife saying, well, I'm German and I'm from Germany, and so if you go after me, I go after you. What does that mean, mein Frere? But anyway, they voted in the Senate. They were going to vote to have some sort of ethics, yardstick for the Supreme Court, with some of them with these type of issues or upside down flags or getting like $billion gifts and trips and yacht sailings. Oh yeah, that won't influence anything. But to having the common sense of having some sort of ethics, examination, that gets cut. That disappears in the Senate because of one objection. Or at least an objection coming from Lindsey Graham, who said he was going to object. So that ends that. So that's a very weird thing in the rule for the Senate. But okay, that's not biased or anything. That's not hoping that your side will win on it, because any ideals you have in the United States, that's all bullshit now, isn't it? Can we come down to the majority and just admit that our ideals that we sang songs with when we were wee little kids, before we understood the words, when we were saying the Pledge of Allegiance, when we as little kids were staring at a piece of fabric and did not know the words that we were supposed to memorize in our loyalty oaths every day for 12 years, that the one thing that Donald Trump did do that may be in effect an ironic positive was that it lifted the veil of all the idealistic symbolic bullshit that these things don't matter, and I'll push the envelope to prove that it doesn't matter because of political fear. So nothing is sacred anymore. Presidency isn't sacred. Congress and the Senate, hell, is nowhere near sacred. No one is deified except for Trump. He's deified, but not for good reasons. And then the Supreme Court is not this wholly above the three branches of government where they're not politically influenced. Bullshit. So maybe that's a positive. Alright. Over an hour. The ranter rants because, what the fuck? This is what I do. And now in the moment of solemnity, or whatever that word is. There's a lot of things in this world is horrible. There are horrible things happening to this world. From, just look at Israel's attacks into Gaza, Hamas's attacks on the Israeli people. Hezbollah has now thrown 200 rockets into Israel. We have things happening domestically. We have things happening in our foreign world, beyond our borders. There's a quote from, I'm going to paraphrase this. There's a quote from the recent X-Men 97, which had a lot of, it's actually a pretty good show. For those who remember the X-Men, the animated series, this is a great show to go off because it is a connecting point between the two. But there's a lot of political, smart rhetoric involved in it. Because people who did not understand that the X-Men was woke, they had been woke since 1963. Fuck off. Anyway. I'm going to paraphrase this, but when you get desensitized to so many horrors and tragedies out in the world, your only answer is apathy. It's happening out there. It's happening out there. It's over there. It's horrible. It's horrible that it's happening over there, but what can I do about it? I can't do anything about it. So why are we even talking about it? How many tragedies have we seen go by in our world in the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years that we go, oh, that's god awful. That's awful. This shouldn't be happening. And we think, nothing we can do about it. I mean, this is why we have, when we get into wars, and we think we're saying it for noble intentions, when in reality it is for us to be able to have some sort of rights in the natural resources of that particular place, that we might get some bennies out of it. Like, let's say, the first Gulf War. Where was our great coalition that Bush did put together with all the rest of the world to go into Iraq? Where was that, and where was our will when bodies were floating down the river in Rwanda? Or Darfur? One of the most talked about things that we as the United States ignored. Or myriad of other things that we as a superpower, or claim tout of our superpowerness, that we get involved in everybody else's bullshit, but we don't seem to get involved in the bullshit that on a human level probably matters more. I don't know. A friend of mine brought up, how every election in the past few cycles has been the most important election of our lives. And this one is supposed to be no different, It's strike against good versus evil. Yeah, right, they're not both good or anything. But I don't know. I admittedly am part of a demographic that is going to see, except for economically, probably speaking, less of a problem than others if Donald Trump gets reelected. Outside of maybe, my political rhetoric might get me black bagged. Figuratively, not literally. I don't even think that was going to happen. But I, as a white heterosexual male, I'm going to be less nervous about me walking down the street as opposed to any other demographic under a Trump administration. With the people that Trump had around with him the last time around, and now he's going to have people around that he needs to be completely loyal to him over the country, who probably have more political acumen than he does, so he will go with their whatever they want to do because they're loyal to him. It's concerning. And I hope that we don't fall, even if our sadness if Trump wins, because he's going to be, if he wins, he's our president, and we have to not be hypocrites about that. You can oppose him all you want. I'm going to oppose him all I want if he becomes president, but that does not mean he's not my president. We have to be adults about this. But again, admittedly, my demographic is not going to get as badly hurt as, say, white women, black folk, Hispanic folk, Asian folk, Hindi, non-Christians, gay, lesbian, transgendered, non-binary, queer. Everybody will find themselves on the block. Figuratively, not literally. I'm not being a scaremonger here. But there are plenty of people who are being considered, outed for being woke by people who do not even know what that means. Who will think that because these people have certain views that they're the enemy of Trump. And then the enemy of Trump, they're the enemy of us. Because somehow we're symbiotically connected to Trump. Just look around and be careful and be considerate and compassionate to your neighbors. And don't even do that because of politics. Just do that just because. Just because. For a change of pace. Ranter rants. Your urge to rant is rising. 110. I'm done. I'll see you at the next rambling diatribe.